What's going on, guys? St. Clair 444 here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a movie review of Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions. So, as some of you guys know, this movie just got released on the 27th. Today's the 28th. My theater didn't show it first until today. But you do actually get a promo card when you get into the movie. It's Obelisk the Tormentor, a gold foil. At least that's what I got. I don't know if some other people got some other stuff, but that's what I got. I got Obelisk the Tormentor, and so starting off with kind of the review, I thought it was really good. The movie had a lot of good references back to the original series. One example of that was just with Joey in the dog costume from when he was fighting Rebecca. Or it was Duke. It was Duke or Rebecca. I think it was Duke. He was dueling Yugi against Duke, and Joey was in the dog costume, being a cheerleader, I guess. But that was a funny reference back into the original series. So when the movie first started, Kaiba was kind of dueling Yugi, Tim, in this like simulated duel machine, kind of, and which also was introducing kind of the original dual disc, which I didn't really like. I didn't like Kaiba's version of the dual disc. I thought that it was. I thought that the blue tinting and stuff on the cards kind of made the cards kind of make out. And I thought it kind of had a little bit too much, it was a little bit too bulky and stuff. But later on in the movie, Kaiba gives Yugi a kind of smaller version of this dual disc that's more like the originals, and but it does the same stuff and allows you to have your full-on physical cards and stuff, like these little holograms that Kaiba was using. But the only voice lines that we hear from a Tim are just those in that little hologram duel sequence that Kaiba was doing there at the beginning, which I thought was kind of disappointing, to be honest. I feel like he should have had a little bit more voice time and stuff, but I guess the whole thing was that, like, since Tim left Yugi for Yugi to be on his own, that's kind of the whole thing, that the reason why Tim wasn't really in it as much, because Yugi was trying to be on his own, doing his own thing. But we kind of see that this is kind of at the end of their school life as well. So they have the speeches and stuff, like they're practicing their graduation ceremonies and stuff. But when they first go into one of their classes, this is where they meet the main villain of the story, Diva. And at first when I saw Diva, I thought that it was Yusei from 5Ds, because he kind of had that look to him. But then they turned around and was like, nope, not him. But then after that whole stuff sorts out, they kind of get a scene where he's bullying, and they step in and stuff, and we kind of find out that Diva is wanting to go against Yugi and stuff. So then we find out that Diva has these special powers to go between, or to like send people to these different dimensions and stuff, and then erase their memories, basically eventually wiping them from existence. But in terms of the Diva character himself, I think he's all right. He had a good plot. He had a good backstory to it. Kind of like how because he's basically trying to get revenge because of his master Shin, I think, or also known as Odeon, which I'm not sure if it's the same Odeon as Merrick, because Merrick's person was also called Odeon, I think, but I don't know if they're the same people, if that's what they're making out to be. That might have just went over my head, but I do think that was kind of interesting to see. So basically they have this thing. Joey comes in, he fights Diva, Um, he doesn't really he attempts to fight Diva, and then Diva is basically sends him to another dimension, and then so basically the next few scenes is Joey going through, running and trying to escape from these memories that are being erased from his mind essentially, and then he goes into this clock tower, which we see from the other movie, from I think it's Bonds Beyond Time. We see like that little clock again from Bonds Beyond Time, and he then sees a Tim there, standing there, and then that's one of his memories that allows him to come back to the physical world. And then we see that Joey's back in the real world, and we go back to Bakura, who was with Joey at the time, and then we kind of get a lot more backstory on Bakura, and like how he came to get the ring and stuff like that. So I think Bakura's backstory was actually pretty cool, and then how like he tries to explain to Diva like why he should not send him to the other dimension and stuff. So it's pretty cool that we kind of get that Bakura backstory in there. What I was really kind of wanting, to be honest, was to Bakura to get back the Millennium Ring from that little flashback. I was hoping that he was able to get the ring back and we could have evil Bakura again, but that's just not the way it worked out. But it was pretty cool nonetheless. But we then move to Kaiba's like announcement of the dual disc and the tournament that he kind of moves into. I'm probably skipping a lot of stuff here, but I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. Didn't really make any notes, but Kaiba holds this tournament. Kaiba collects all the pieces from the Millennium Puzzle that gets excavated, and then Diva steals 2 of these pieces. He gives one to his little sister, which his little sister then gives to Yugi, which is pretty cool because she's kind of going against his her brother on this, and we kind of get like a sense of like clash between the two personalities. So then basically the tournament is to get the 2 pieces back into the puzzle, because that's what Kaiba ultimately wants. He wants to fight Yugi or a Tim again to kind of settle the score between the 2 of them. So they hold this tournament, and then Kaiba's like, all right, Diva, we're facing now. And then Yugi's like, no, I'm trying to save Bakura. We're going up against, me and Diva are going to play. And then Kaiba's like, no, this is my tournament. And then Yugi kind of holds his ground, and he's all like a badass and stuff, and be like, no, I'm trying to save my friend here. And if you have something wrong with that, we're going to have a problem. And he's like, Kaiba's like, that's a threat? And he's like, sure, yeah, it is a threat. And he's like, okay. And so basically now Diva and Yugi are fighting together now. And they're going head to head. And Yugi then defeats Diva. And he kind of puts him in his place after that, which they kind of show off this whole dimension dueling stuff, as well as earlier in the movie where Kaiba and Diva were dueling for the first time. They were showing off this dimension dueling, which I didn't think really made that much sense, because they said that you can use your life energy, but it didn't really make sense, because like it didn't really show any significance of like why or like how that hurts you by using your energy or whatever. But basically every time they summon a monster, they kind of go Super Saiyan a little bit, and they can summon a monster without having to pay any life points or anything. But so Yugi eventually puts Diva into his place, and then Diva vanishes off into another dimension. And then so while Kaiba and Yugi are dueling, Yugi leaves. First off, Diva leaves behind his first piece of the Millennium Puzzle. Yugi then grabs that, and then the whole gang of people from the other dimension are like, okay, now what happens if Yugi brings back the Pharaoh, and then his Diva's little sister's kind of like, well, it's all in Yugi's hands now, yada yada. But so then Kaiba's fighting Yugi. This is kind of like where it's kind of like a screw the rules moment from the abridged series, where Kaiba does a lot of stuff in their duel that just kind of doesn't make sense. It's a lot like the anime dueling, where because Yugi's just like, yeah, I'm basically gonna beat you now, and Kaiba's just like, not if I destroy your monster first, and he just attacks on Yugi's turn, and it just doesn't make any sense. And I guess maybe it's the monsters effect, but I just thought that was kind of funny, where they kind of had like a screw the rules moment in the little battle there. So basically, it gets down to Yugi's about to defeat Kaiba, and then he's just like, and then Kaiba plays a trap card, and it gets him down to 100 life points. So basically, Yugi's gonna be down on the next turn. Usually, he's like, I don't think you understand, Kaiba. And then Yugi goes up, puts the pieces in the puzzle, and nothing happens. And Kaiba just like, Yugi explains to Kaiba that their bond is pretty much gone now, because they parted ways back when they had their duel together. And so that's kind of interesting as well, just because like it brings back a lot of flashbacks from the original series and stuff. And Kaiba's just like, no, I don't believe you, and he's going to and then he's just like, no, I don't believe you, and then he switches back to Diva, where he's then in this dimension where basically the darkness is sucking them up. And then previously with Bakura, they had the Millennium Ring there. And so basically what happens is Diva absorbs this Millennium Ring, and then he comes out of his cube, and he's just like this big old monster type deal. So now they're Yugi and Kaiba are tag teaming, which I really like, because Kaiba and Yugi tag teaming is like super awesome. But gotta end up here quick because my battery's dying. But overall, they face Yugi and Kaiba face this big monster type thing, and they get to the end. Kaiba gets sent off to the other dimension, and then or to the shadows, because now it's a shadow duel because it's the Millennium Ring. But now Kaiba gives Yugi the Millennium Puzzle, and it's like, make Atem come back, and then so Yugi's just like on his last legs, and he's just like, I still believe in the heart of the cards, and like he has a little hesitation between there, and then he faints, and then Diva starts to attack, and then as that happens, Atem comes back down with no voice lines or anything. He just draws his card, plays it, and then he defeats Diva in one shot, which is pretty awesome. And so now what happens is Yugi comes back, or Yugi and Atem have this moment where they split apart, and they are just staring into each other's souls, basically. And so that's kind of the last time Yugi and Atem have their little moment, and they just kind of come to peace with each other on just like how important that they each mean to one another. But I think the coolest part now is that Kaiba, at the end of the movie, he creates this dimension dueling machine where he can go in between two dimensions and then face against Atem. So he goes to ancient Egypt, fights Yugi, and he goes to ancient Egypt, and then he goes, puts on his duel disc, and starts a duel with Yugi, with Atem, and then Atem just smirks, and then there's the end credits, which I think is amazing, because that means that I think they leave an opening for possibly new original series movies with Atem, because now that they have this dimension device, they can now go in between dimensions, and then Atem can now be a part of the story arc again. But overall, I think the movie was really, really, really cool. Got to get going because of this battery, but hopefully y'all enjoyed this little review. If you did like it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all later. Peace.